They say you don't become a witch. That it's just one day you wake up and realize that's what you've always been. The one that doesn't always fit in. The one that likes the woods, the sun and sky, cats, owls, and the moon. The one who stays up late reading books, playing role-playing games, and learning the names of the stars. The one that likes to wear black eyeliner, capes. And then you realize, oh, that's what I am. I'm a witch.
Hey everybody, so good to be here today. Hey Lady Lola.
Hello.
I'm so glad to see you. My name is Belladonna LaVeau, and we are here to bring you the Seekers class today.
Hello, and I'm Lady Lola Stardust, and I'm just so happy to be here today with y'all.
So good to see everybody and get to share wisdom about the ancient ones and the old gods. So we had Hecate Sickle Festival, and it was off the chain, and you had your Northwest Pagan Fest?
Yes, Northwest Pagan Fest, and they said we had maybe, oh my God, almost 2,500 to 3,000 people.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really wonderful.
One day, a free event, and there was like 80 vendors, and yeah, it was incredible. And we're just growing and growing and growing every year, bringing all this stuff to Spokane. It's awesome.
So exciting. So exciting. Okay, well, that is wonderful, wonderful news. I'm glad that you had a great time. We had a wonderful time too. I got to pet an owl, and there were spiders, and it was just, we all turned into dragons. I got to watch 90 people turn into many different animals in front of my eyes because I was drumming and leading, and that was the first time I did that, so I got to watch it all happen. It was incredible. We had a great time.
Awesome.
Magic is fun, Lola.
I know, it is so much fun, and you know, we have to have fun because we're teaching some pretty serious stuff, but I love that you got to add fun and joy and all the, because witchcraft is fun. And I think people are like, I'm a serious witch. And yes, you can be a serious witch, but you can be a fun witch. Mirth and reverence.
Mirth and reverence. I mean, you have to have an education in witchcraft in order to be safe and to know how to make those really big things happen. How do you make 90 people shapeshift all at the same time? It was pretty incredible, let me tell you, but it's also been 30 years worth of study and work, right? So if you want to get into that kind of stuff, Wolstenstein Theological Seminary, which is written right here, it's wiccanseminary.edu, is the school that Lola and I both went to. I actually created it. Lola was dean of ministry for a while too.
I wore all the hats for a while.
All the hats. Lola is awesome. So today we are talking about
We're going to talk about silence. Silence. Yes.
Silence is so important, especially if you're a mom. For goodness sakes, I never appreciated silence until I had children, and I could not get it. And I didn't realize how important it was, right?
Well, and also it's about silence of the mind too. I think people have a hard time sitting in silence because they have to sit with their thoughts. And sometimes you can silence the mind with meditation, but sometimes you do need to sit in silence with your thoughts because you got to face that stuff and work it out.
It's, you know, one of the things that I tell people, I'm noise sensitive. I don't like screams. I don't like repetitive sounds. If you're clicking a pen, I'll run screaming from the room. If I tell you and you don't stop doing it, I'll be like, well, I have to go because I'm like a spider and that clicking sound just gets to me. But it's because I'm so busy listening to deity in my head, you know, that all of these extra sounds. Now, I don't mind sounds that are needed, But the extra sounds like the beep, beep, beeping at the Walmart when they're doing something with, all those extra sounds, they're too much because they interfere with my intuition and my spidey senses.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, I love that you have spidey senses. You probably, that's why I remember when I was over at the Tab and I had my playlist playing, and then I like a lot of techno music, which I know you love music, but after a while you said because techno is repetitive. And so it was that repetitive, oons, 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 oons. And you went, honey, I love your music, but can you just turn it off because it's getting to me? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the oons, oons, oons. I like, what's the one I like? Dubstep, because it's like, and then it gets all freaky on you, and then it gets all cool, and then Knife Party. Oh, I love Knife Party because it changes it up. But the repetitive sounds and stuff like that. When I moved into the Tab, or when I started staying here, there were these little boxes that were stuck in each room. It had this little box, and I didn't know what the box did except for go click, 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 click. And it literally, I was like, what the? And I'd snatch it out of the wall, right?
Yeah.
And so I snatched it out of the wall, and I went to Pete and I said, what does this thing do? And he said, it drives spiders away. And I said, well, it's doing it. I'm going to have to leave or pull these out of the wall. He said, humans can't hear this, Bella. And I went, oh, let me tell you about the Navy story where they didn't think that I could hear the things that I was hearing. I have superhuman hearing, right?
Yeah.
I could hear that click, click, clicking sound. And I love the peace and the tranquility when you could just listen to the universe.
Well, and people, there's so many people that say, how do you hear deity? How do you hear the universe? And some people it comes natural to, but if it doesn't come natural to you, there's things you can do to practice hearing, being in that silence. One of the things that I remember I was told a long time ago was just put like a 5-minute timer on and sit in a park and don't talk and just listen and just don't you don't have to write down what you're hearing. You don't have to just listen. 5 minutes. That's it. Put a timer on your phone, sit in a park and listen. If you can't get to a park, sit in your apartment or your house or your front yard or whatever and just listen. That's it.
And breathe.
And just breathe and
just
listen.
Pay attention to your breathing.
Yep. And if you do that every day, a little more and a little more, so then the next day you do 10 minutes, the next day you do 15 minutes, then you're going to start being able to decipher what the mundane sounds are, and you're going to be able to then start hearing the things that you're supposed to hear. And we can't tell you what you're supposed to hear because you are going to hear what you're supposed to hear. My supposed to hear is going to be different from what Bella's supposed to hear is, right?
Yeah. So like even when we're doing invocation, so you invoke Hera, I invoke Hera. I don't know what you're going to get, but I have had ladies invoke Hera and they get all these things about marriage and relationships. I've had the last one got a lot of stuff about social status and reputation, those kinds of things. She was on me about leadership, being the queen. This is what a queen's job is. This is what the king's job is. This is what leadership is all about. This is what you're supposed to do for your people. So it's different for everybody. You get what you need.
Exactly.
But the thing that I find about Lola is that it's so hard to find that silence. And you said something really key, and that is the silence within. So you have peace within in order for you to, and sometimes it's really hard to get that. I mean, I currently am struggling with stress, and I went to a healer, and they adjusted me last Wednesday, and I just feel so much better. I went and did karaoke. I got a big dopamine dump in my brain. It was fantastic. I felt drunk. I don't drink, but I was like, woo, I'm having a good time. I think I was drunk on dopamine. The silence of being able to silence your mind and release the stress then allows joy to come through later. right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and the way you do that is you just sit and, like Lola said, you focus on your breathing.
Yep.
You think about your breathing and you don't think about anything else.
No. And all the stuff that you hear around you, just it's there. Just don't get all fussy because maybe you were hearing some birds chirp and then all of a sudden you hear a big semi truck go by and be like, well, that and nope, you're supposed to hear that semi truck. You're supposed to hear those things. It's like meditation when people say, well, I can't meditate because I get distracted. Well, that's part of the meditation. That's part of the lesson. So if you get the distraction, acknowledge it and then just move on. Don't get hung up on, oh crap, the dog barked while I was trying to meditate. Just be like, the dog barked.
Give me an
And
old
go
book
back.
and a new book. I got a point to make. So you just said something really powerful. Just back here on here, you've got thin books and thick books. So people are so distracted today. And the only way that you can train your attention span is to put effort and discipline into training your attention span.
Yep.
Dusty's getting me a couple of books to show you the difference between our attention span today and 20 years ago.
Okay.
20 years ago, this was a book.
Yep.
20 years ago, this book cost you $15.95 unless it was a textbook.
Yeah.
This is a book today.
I know.
They're ridiculous. I had to take my book and split it up because it was too thick. People love it, but they were like, "This is a fantastic book. It's this thick.
Yep.
This is TikTok. This is Reels. This is what it does to us. If I can't learn it in a minute and a half on Google, I don't want to know it. I mean, really."
Oh, well, that's the thing with YouTube. If you do YouTube stuff, we do our YouTube show, which is in wine. We're going to get back into it soon. We've been taking a little break, but I noticed because I was doing research when I do the hour-long shows. It depends on the guest. I will get a lot of views, but I get more views on the 30-minute, 20 to 30-minute little stuff that we do, and it's because people's attention span. Andrew,
yes, I do have tips. That was what I was coming up with next. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Kayla. That's what I was coming up with next. One of the things, and I've said this in previous shows, I believe, but they're not talking. Thank you, Andrew. I believe I talked about this in a previous show. So if you've already heard it, I apologize. This is for people who haven't yet. If you can't get your head to shut up, one of the problems with silence is that you are going, oh my goodness, I should have paid bills. I need to go turn off the stove. Did I turn off the stove? Maybe I didn't turn off the stove. Did I turn off the stove? I don't know. I don't want to burn anything. The iron and your head won't shut up. And my nose is itching like somebody's coming to see me. The head just chatter. There's a technical term for that, and that's called the chatterer. And the chatterer cannot help but do their job. It's a component of your personality. And so what you do is you give the chatterer somebody to talk to other than you. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can use your imagination. A couple of the ways that I do it is I don't have the problem with the chatterer anymore because my chatterer is gone. Mm-hmm. But it's first I tried walking down the street with him and giving him somebody else to talk to. And then he went off with that person and I went this way. But then he came back, he found me. And so he didn't have enough people to talk to. So I put him on a stage in an auditorium. And then I got up and left the theater, right? Yeah. And so he doesn't bother me anymore because he's talking to all those people nonstop and he's happy and so am I. But you can stop that sound by giving the chatterer somebody to talk to, and then you don't have to. Yeah. There's another aspect of it though, and that is the witness. You can move into the witness mode of your mind, okay? Mm-hmm. And that is when you just witness what is happening without judgment, without weighing in. You just, this is what is happening. And you observe. Some Some metaphysicians call it the point aspect of the observer.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard it that way. Yeah. The observer. Yeah.
The observer, the witness is the same aspect of the brain. So you just move your thought form. You can do it right now if you're watching. Just move your thought form into that which is watching what is going on instead of that which is experiencing what is going on. And you can find silence in that because the witness doesn't speak.
Mm-hmm.
The witness just observes. So there are two ways that you can do that. That work for you, Lola?
Yeah, I those are great. I also have one that I tend to do. It's kind of like the witness, and I didn't realize I was doing this until you just said something. I'm able to remove myself from my brain. So that's what you're saying. It's like I remove myself from a situation or an anxiety or a thought, and I actually give it, for me, it's like I'm watching a movie of whatever I'm trying to focus on. So yeah, so it's the same concept. I've been doing that since I was a little girl. That was well, you don't want to do it too much because it can be considered unhealthy because it can be disassociation. So make sure that, you're not staying there. But for me, it was removing myself from childhood traumas that were happening. So I would remove myself from the situation and be like, I'm watching a movie. And I do the same thing when I'm trying to silence my brain and all that chatter and everything. I actually act like I remove myself and I'm almost watching it as a what do you call it? A non-biased or not non-biased. What's the word?
Yeah, it's just, you're just observing. You don't have an opinion.
But it's a movie. I make it in like a movie mode and I'm not as emotionally invested in it. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. I didn't know that's what I've been doing my whole life.
Sometimes I do that when I'm starting to get upset. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, take a deep breath and step back and watch. Mm-hmm. This doesn't mean anything about you. This is somebody else's behavior.
Yep. That's good. Good to know.
Another one that I have is moving your consciousness from your head center down into your heart center. And that is also, that helps you get silence. There's nobody talking there too much, and you can listen to your heartbeat. Someone just listen to their heartbeat. You have to be really quiet to hear your heartbeat and just focus on the breath, the circular nature of the blood and the breath. And people say, how do you get circular nature from in and out, in and out? I know it's hard, but it goes, you breathe in, you plateau, maybe you hold your breath a second or two, you breathe out, you plateau, maybe you hold your breath out a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
There's this thing called four square breathing where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale 4, hold out for 4. Inhale. Yeah. So those are some wonderful little tips on how to gain some silence in your life. You close your eyes, you can move your consciousness down to your heart.
Yeah.
You just have to practice.
Box breathing. That's the square breathing or the box breathing is what Andrew said. Yeah, that's how I know it too. It's the square breathing and And they actually say, this is a little tip I learned from my weight loss journey and my changing my eating habits. Did you know that stress for women we hold on to our fat because it's in our DNA that if you get stressed out, we have to put on the pounds to get ready to give birth or to feed or whatever. So the breathing exercises they taught us was the boxed breathing, to just do that several times a day. And it actually helps you keep off the pounds. Just a little FYI for that.
Wow. Breathing helps you lose weight.
Yes.
I don't doubt it. You have to drink water and you have to breathe deep. So those two things are very important.
So what do you tell people? Because I've got some students who they are, and I'm not judging because I'm a chatty Cathy too, but I've also been trained on these things to do that. I've been trained that it is important to silence yourself. You don't always have to have the answer, because we can talk about silence as learning to listen and really hear what someone is saying. And don't we all have that difficulty where we are already thinking of our response to when someone is talking, and it's a really good conversation, but you're already thinking like, oh, I've got something to add to this. And once you start thinking of that, you're not really listening. And that's a really hard skill to learn, and it's a hard skill to teach certain people. What do you think about that? Like, how is that something that, because I know a lot of people that is really difficult. How would you tell them to listen all the way and quiet that response?
There's several things. Well, first of all, it's impulse control. I mean, I have a hard time not blurting out my ideas too, and not eating the things that I'm not supposed to eat after 6 o'clock and all that kind of stuff. It's impulse control is one of it. The other one is be here now. How can you be here now in the present if you're busy thinking about what you're going to add to the story? And the other one is that it's almost like an agenda. Your ego has an agenda to tell everybody how awesome it is, to tell everybody its stories, to be heard, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you recognize that it's the agenda of the ego, that you're not being present in the moment. And what was the other one I said, Lola?
Control. And agenda.
Yeah. Discipline. Discipline, agenda. And and then go from there, because when I'm listening and I come up with things to say, sometimes I just can't wait because they're really important. And, really important things need to be said. But are they important to everybody, or are they just important to you?
Yeah, you have to ask yourself that question, because what are you going to add to the conversation? And I like that you said be present. And I'm always telling people, be in the moment. And the moments we are having right now, like this moment right now, me and Bella talking to all of you, is a beautiful moment. And we're learning. And if you can appreciate the moment you're in, you're going to appreciate everything that's coming to you, because it's so much easier to appreciate that and not have to feel the need to, I got to add to this. I got to add to this. I got to do, because you'll get your chance. But if you add to it too quick, then you've automatically told the other person that what they're saying isn't important. And we don't mean to do that. We just get excited. That's my problem, is I get excited and want to be like, oh, yes. And I've had to stop and be like, wait a minute. And then what I end up doing, this is funny. I'm listening to someone, and then I'm so hyper-focused on listening and not interrupting that then I end up not listening, because I'm going, don't say anything, Lola. Just
let them finish. Stop talking. Stop thinking about that. Yes. It's so hard, right?
It is. Silence is one of the hardest things to do.
Dusty says that he's just entertaining himself. And I think that a lot of our thoughts are just for us.
Oh gosh.
Remember that time when you did that? Remember what that looked like? You don't have to talk about everything you think of. There's some of my favorite people. I've said, honey, you don't have to say every thought that comes into your head. You do not, it's like you don't have to say it out loud. You can just think 2 + 2 is 4 without communicating that verbally. Yeah.
I think you might have said that to me a couple times in the beginning of my schooling, because I've learned, I did learn how to listen better through the school. I did learn to listen better when sometimes people would call me out and say, you don't need to say everything, Lola.
But the other one is, no, we haven't, has just mused Liliana, but that we'll talk about that next. Let me finish this thought. The Celestine prophecy, some people are like, oh, that didn't really happen. No, it's a fiction work to teach you magical principles. It didn't really happen. It's fiction. That's why it's published under fiction. But it's got some magical principles in there that I use. And one of those is watching where the energy goes. When you're in a room and you're having a conversation with a group of people, there is an energy that is the conversation. And it moves from person to person. And if you pay attention to it, you'll see who's supposed to talk next. If you're in a room with me, you'll notice that sometimes I look at people before they start talking, and then they'll start talking. But it's because I just saw the energy go to them. I'm paying attention to it.
Yep.
So there are a lot of magics that come with that kind of silence where you're just paying attention and in the presence. Liliana brought up silence in relation to not sharing spell work. Thank you, Liliana.
That's part of the witch's pyramid
Let's
is silence or to keep silent. Yeah.
Yeah, Liliana Hestia Muse is one of the best astrologers I've ever met. If y'all want an astrologer, she is fantastic.
Heck yeah, she is.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the witches' pyramids. You want to tell us about that?
So there's the witches, and we actually talk about it in the Seekers class. It'll come up next year, but there's the 4 cornerstones of how to do magic, and there's to know, to will, to keep silent, and I forgot the other one.
To dare. To know, to dare, to will, to be silent. Yes.
And be silent is about, it can be a twofold. It can be what we're talking about now, but it's also about keeping silent what you know, because when you speak your spells out loud to people, you're sharing information that may not, it's going to take away that power from your spell, is what I understand.
That's what I understand too. When you talk about, well, I mean, anytime you start sharing some ideas, or like if you just wrote a new song and you go start singing it to people, somebody else might hear it and be singing your song to go publish it on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, if you have this great idea and you start telling people your great idea, you might find that somebody else is doing your great idea. That's a spell as well. There's also the silence of when you're in counseling, when somebody's telling you a secret, when you're supposed to be keeping a trust.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, there's a lot of ways that silence is important in your life, and being able to respect it and understand the power of it, and the power of not having it, like the chaos of not having it. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say.
And there's you know, it's just important to know that, yes, you know, back in the day there was no internet, there were no people, we didn't have, you know, now we have internet and the books are everywhere, and so there's all this information, but it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean like you shouldn't publish things. It means that you just, like you said, it's good to keep some things to ourselves as witches. It's good to keep some of those, they're personal because they make them more powerful. And yeah, it's fun to share, and it's fun to like, I came up with this really cool spell, or this is what I do. And you can find most of that, but we have our spells that we do that we don't share with people. We have our tricks of the trade and what we do in circle that we don't share with people. And there's a reason why, because you have to experience it. You can't just share it and have them feel that same experience. You got to experience it. So telling it in words isn't going to do it justice. It's just not.
Is correct. That is correct. So if I drew this card, if you drew this card in a deck, if you're like, okay, tell me what my oracle is for the day, and you drew silence, I would think that the goddess was telling me to shh and listen.
Yep.
There's a principle, speak little, listen much, right?
Yeah.
Speak little, listen much. And that is because, well, I mean, this is what I say. You already know what you think. You're trying to find out what everybody else thinks. So you should hush and listen if you're there to learn. And people might say pretty cool stuff. USS Serenity.
I know. I thought that was super cute.
That's adorable.
So when we were running this in our Seeker's Path class, there was one lady that said this doesn't represent silence to her. And she took it actually like, she was like, because the water's noisy and the boats are noisy and the seagulls are, and I'm like, that's not, and what that said to me was she has a hard time silencing her brain. She has a hard time enjoy the silence for Depeche Mode fans. No, but she has a hard time doing that. So it says a lot what people say, what this card means. And for me, it's the same thing. It's about look around you and find the silence and the tranquility in your world around you. So even if you live in the city like we do, we're able to find silence and tranquility and peace in the smack in the middle of the city.
You
You
know,
have to find it.
I tell you, Lola, you can't shut that river up. The
No.
river does not stop running. I'm sitting here with a river just going, and the rain and the wind. It is not silent out there. It is nature.
Yeah.
You
find your
can't,
silence.
you can't expect the world to stop making noise so that you can appreciate silence.
Yeah, the world's going to keep going on. The birds are going to keep singing. The cars are going to keep driving.
Got earplugs.
No one's going to curtail to your needs. So you have to find it within and without.
Yes, you have to create the tranquility and the peace so that the silence is a power that permeates and a state of being rather than expecting to create an environment where there's silence. I will say I've done mute weekends where you're not supposed to talk on the weekends, dumb suppers.
Yep.
We've had to cook in silence and things like that. It's powerful. You find other ways to communicate.
Yes, you do. And I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, is it A Quiet Place? It's kind of a horror movie with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. And
I don't watch horror movies. You have to be real careful what you put in my brain, Lola. I'll make it.
No, this is actually, it's not really a horror movie. It's more of a suspense, but it's these creatures that they can hear you. And as long as you're quiet, they won't come and attack. And so this family and these people have to learn how to, you can't make a noise, and they have to write things down. They have to point. And it's really good. It's freaky, the creatures. I'm not going to lie to you. The creatures are really scary. But the concept of having to learn in today's world how to live without talking. And we're actually going to do a ritual, our coven. It's for our chatty Cathys in our coven. We're going to do a whole ritual based on silence. And we're looking forward to that. And we know that they're just, the chatty Cathys in our coven are going to go, oh, including me. So
yeah, I like to control the tranquility of my mind. Like I try to, so I don't interject any of those kinds of weird things because I will freak out.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of those people that loves a good scary movie. I love to be scared.
My daughter loves scary movies. My daughter loves scary movies. I do not love scary movies.
I know a lot of witches. I know a lot of witches who don't like scary movies, and it always surprises me because I'm like, we're witches. We like scary things, but I get it. Sometimes it's too much.
Well, I'm not afraid of the monsters. I don't like the suspense, and they always have kids and pets, and I can't take anything.
I won't watch those. I won't watch those.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't watch about the new war because of the things that are happening to kids. I'm like, okay, so no more news. I used to watch news every night, but not now.
Does anyone in our audience want to say, while I'm getting the other card up and ready, does anyone want to take a stab at this and see if they got the silence card, what it would mean for them? And I'm going to go ahead and, I'll leave it up a little bit. But yeah, type in there what it is, what you think you would, if you guys want to. You don't have to, but you can.
Well, and State Liliana loves scary movies.
Oh, yeah. I love being scary. Yeah. I love being so scared that I'm that person that turns all the lights out in my house, lights candles, and watches a scary movie, and I drink my wine, and I have my blanket. Like, I get into it. It is my favorite, and it's my time because no one else in this family likes scary movies like I do. So they all go to bed, and I'm like, yeah, here we go. Scare the crap out of me. I love it.
It is so funny. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I like zombies, and I like zombie movies because I think they're funny, and things that aren't believable, or slasher movies because I just think they're funny. But yeah,
if it's too real, that's when you get.
So silence would be learning to observe what's going on around me. I'm a chatty Cathy, so silence is always a challenge.
Yeah.
Yes. I've had people come over who just won't stop talking, and I'm like, hey, just Can we just?
I can take a hint, Bella. No, just kidding.
Lola, I never told you to hush. Let's
I
see. Hestia's Muse. I feel well. Sometimes people come over here and they're really nervous, or they have something that's going on where they're upset about in their life, and they want to fix it, and they just talk,
Yeah.
and you can't get any benefit from anybody else when you're just processing like that.
Yep.
I feel the image on the card reminds me of waiting for the blessing or message to come to you. That's beautiful, Liliana. Thank you.
Love that.
Waiting on your ship to come in.
Yep.
Silence is my enemy, evidently. I do meditate very easily, though. Well, there you go, Teresa.
Yeah.
My brother played a video game once that was so terrifying that he won't ever play the game. I did, William. So Ramsey was playing this video game one time, and he would be like, "There's this witch, and if she sees you, she just starts screaming," and it freaked him out really bad. And he was like, oh no, there's a witch. And then I watched him go, oh, and he threw his earphones across the room, and then he hit the X.
That's hilarious. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing that.
I talk when I'm nervous. Yeah, people do that.
And I'm going to go ahead and
feel
the other
safe
card.
for some reason. Not me. I like to when I'm nervous, I'm quiet. If I'm quiet, it's probably because I'm nervous and I'm thinking about other things.
Yeah.
Not present.
You know that I'm stressed out when I'm not talking.
Oh, familiar. I know that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, familiars. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. Lola, we have been getting ready for Spring Mysteries Festival.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this, but since we're just here, it's just me and you, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
SpringMysteriesFestival.com. You guys got to register and come. Lola, before Parade to the Sea, where everybody has their pigs, we're going to have you and Carrie and what's Trash Panda's name? Diana?
Mm-hmm.
Get out there and do the pig hawking. Have you ever seen the pig hawking?
Yeah. Yes.
And entertain everybody while they're in line. And it'd be so much fun. We're going to have a blast.
I'm so excited. I got my coven. We're all going to come, and we're going to register in the next week. We're going to register.
Oh, so excited.
And the prices go up. How long do we have? What are the prices?
All the way to the end of December. This is early bird. Yeah, early bird. Yeah. Yes, queen. Yes, so animal helpers, we just did Hecate Sickle Festival about familiars.
Right?
And witches love their familiars.
Oh, don't we though? I'm petting my puppy.
I just got back Honey Bear's ashes today.
Oh.
That was 19 years of being my constant companion and really, truly one of the greatest and sweetest and smartest human being or personages that I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
She kept waiting on us to learn how to listen to her.
I'm telling you, we all are biased. We love our pets, right? Like I'm looking at my dogs. I'm looking at my cats. My past pets I've had, they're the best pets ever. But I have to admit that my pets don't even compare to the energy that I got from Honey Bear. Like I will freely admit that.
Thank you. I think we think Honey Bear was a bodhisattva. She got to be Hecate of the saffron robes at the Mother Church. She's one of Hecate's dogs, but she was born into a magical family, and she was so magical. Yeah, but she was. They pick it up already. You have to be the one to figure out how to work with them, and that's really the trick. Is how do you work with your animal, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's so much amazing lore and history about familiars and because there's different schools of thought. Excuse me. There's different schools of thought on it. And if you read about, some people will say, well, not every animal is your familiar. And I don't like it when people say that. I know that they're old school and they're talking about what the actual familiar is. It's these spirits that come in form as these animals, and sometimes they don't hang out with you. They're just there. You know, you don't get to have that familiar. I mean, there's a whole thing. And I used to be like, well, people should know the real definition of a familiar. But then I realized, you know what? It's personal. It's very personal. And your animals are your animals. And there's just certain animals in your life that you just know the connection that they have to your magical work. You just know the connection that they have to your feelings and emotions. And it doesn't even have to be magical work. It's just like they're emotional support animals. There's ones that literally help emotionally, or like seeing eye dogs or whatever. There's ones that, I mean, there's a reason why we take animals to retirement homes or old people homes, and they pet the animals because it calms them and brings them joy. I mean, I remember my dad when he was right before he died. I got Cow, our corgi, who is she's 9 months. She's actually calming down. She's outgrowing a little bit of the puppy phase. She's adorable. She's sleeping right now. But and my dad, I brought the corgi. I brought her over, and she was small. And I remember my dad, you know, he was not feeling very good, and he had the dementia. And I remember watching him pet this puppy. And for that moment, I saw in his eyes peace. And like, it's like that moment was, he wasn't sick. He wasn't forgetful. He wasn't in pain.
He was just there.
He was just there petting that dog. And oh man, that is the power of our animals, right?
They bring you to the now. They live in the now. They do not remember what happened, and they can't talk about it. They don't bitch at you. They don't care how you smell. They don't care if your hair's done or if your clothes are clean or if you are the right weight or if you're eating the right things, if you've got the right job, if you wear the right. They don't care. They just love you in the moment where you're at, and it helps bring you to the moment where they're at. Yeah. And it's really beautiful to be able to connect with animals. I think that it keeps us grounded.
Well, and it's you know, because unfortunately, you know, our animals have a shorter lifespan than we do if we live out our natural, you know, old age. So you kind of have no choice but to be in the moment with them too, because time goes by really quick. And here's the thing, I've had so many animals die in front of me because I'm at home. And so any of the animals, I'm the one that has to deal with them being sick. I'm the one that they die in my arms, you know, and it's really, really traumatic, and it's really hard. And I keep getting more pets. And to me, it's worth it. That pain, because all those years, it's worth that bit of pain. All those years, I know my animals are going to pass away. I know I'm probably most likely going to be the one that finds them or has to watch them be sick. It's going to be heartbreaking, but I'm willing to go through that, because after a few of our cats died right in a row, and then my dog Ziggy died, there was a point where I was like, I'm not getting any more animals. I can't go through this. And then we ended up getting Cow, which thank goddess, she's just the most amazing little dog. And I'll just keep doing it because it's worth it. It's just worth it. They're here to teach me a lesson, and I learn lessons about life and death through them too.
Well, let's talk about the magic of working with an animal. Like, how do you know an animal is your familiar? Well, you know what Lola said was I'm sure that she heard from her elders, you know, well, you have to, this snooty response of, well, you first have to know what a familiar actually is. Well, if you feel like it's your familiar and that's what you're working with, then I kind of feel like nobody else has the right to tell you what your magic is.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Don't judge other people's magic, and then they won't judge yours. That's kind of where I'm coming at from that. And so you can't really do it a wrong way. How do you work with your animal? One of the things that you can do is like astral project into your animal, see what they're seeing. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
You can ask them to go do things for you that cats or dogs would do.
Yep.
But one of the greatest things that I think that they do as a familiar is they provide somebody that is always loves you no matter what you do, that never tells anybody your secrets.
Yeah.
That is always, it never has something better to do than to hang out with you. Right?
Yeah.
They're never going to stand you up.
Nope.
you know, they're really loyal. They're there for you. And in a shadowy world of witchcraft, a lot of us have already been betrayed by a lot of humans, and you can trust your familiar to be your familiar. Like a cat might be like, you know, I don't feel like being pet right now, but you know what I mean. Cats are finicky, but that doesn't mean that they love somebody else more, you know?
No.
And I think that is a big, sometimes people overlook the quality, but it's like you said, they bring you into the now. I think cats heal us. I think cats teach us self-love where dogs teach us unconditional love.
Yeah, because you know you're going to get, there's our dog. My husband just walked in the door and the dog's following him in the kitchen. This is their little ritual they do. It's like, what you going to make, Dad? What's for dinner? Like, it's just the thing they do. But, you know, cats, because they're so independent, they teach us how to be self-reliant and not so needy, and know that it's okay that this animal isn't showing immediate affection to us. It still loves us, and it teaches us that. I like how you said that. So you said cats teach us self-love and dogs teach us unconditional
love.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
It's so true. I know for us, when we got our cat Cece, when she was just a little kitty and we would be in circle in coven, she literally would, you know, and some are going to be real obvious and others are going to be a little more like, what's going on? But that magic energy, she loved it. She'd come right into circle. She would she wanted us to hold her while we were in circle. So we would hold her and do our stuff, and we would pass her around and everyone would hold her. And she was just part of the coven. She was the coven cat and she loved it. And I'm like, okay, yep, there's a familiar, or at least there's a magical cat, because as soon as we cast that circle, you know, and she never cut her way in and out. She got to go in and out because cats always have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, right? I mean, if you've watched Constantine or if you've read about cat lore, they're the ones that are always partially in our mundane world and also partially in the other
side. Absolutely. And that there's a lot of magic that you can do in that. I would love it if you guys typed in stories about your familiars and how you know that they're your familiars. One of the things that gave it away with Honey Bear is my previous familiar Lilith walked off into the same woods that Honey Bear came out of, and Lilith, I always equated her, because you know, dogs and Hecate, I always equated her to one of Hecate's hounds. And then when Honey Bear came out of the woods, I was like, well, she looked like a little rat terrier. I couldn't imagine her turning into the beautiful Southern lady that she did. But we called her Hecate of the saffron robes. And when I was sick, I would call her Lilith. And I swear to God, she looked like Lilith. One day I was like, oh my God, you're Lilith.
Yeah.
And she was like, yes, you finally figured it out. Yes.
Yeah.
And but she's so similar in so many ways, right? She did a lot of the same things that Lilith did. And one of the things that Honey Bear loves is she loves to wear her little clothes.
Yeah.
She loves clothes. She doesn't want to necessarily go to circle, but she wants her ritual robes on, and she stays outside of circle and keeps all the things away. Yeah. She's the warder. Yeah. Right? We don't need a warder because we got Honey Bear. Yeah. Or had anyway.
Yeah. I know. It's hard. It's hard to change that verbiage. I totally get it. I know. Yeah, we had, I swear to God that, so when my dog Ziggy passed away, Ziggy was my baby. She was my little Chewini, and she was a derpy dog. And she just wasn't that smart. And she always had her tongue hanging out, and she had one ear up and one ear down. And she just kind of go, ooh. And, and so she passed away December, I believe, 13th. And Cal was born the end of December. And we got Cal in February. And when we got Cal, she instantly has done all the things that Ziggy has done. But my husband says, but she's smart because she's a corgi. Corgis are smart. Ziggy wasn't that smart, but she sticks her tongue out and she runs off on me and she snorts like Ziggy snorted. And yeah, I mean, all these weird things. And I'm going, that's Ziggy. Ziggy came back because if you think about it, Ziggy died a couple weeks before Cal was born. And so
Yeah.
I think it's possible, and I feel it. And people go, "Oh, that's just wishful thinking." I'm like, I know my dog came back.
No, see, I don't think it's wishful thinking. I used to think.
Uh-oh, we went silent. What happened? Did they lose power? Okay, well, while we wait for Bella to come back, go ahead and type, you guys, what your animal helpers do. I'm going to send a message and see what happened. Where'd Bella go? I think they froze, or did we all freeze? Please write in the chat that you can see me or hear me, please. I could just keep talking. Can you guys hear me? Did I lose power? Back to silence. Can you guys hear me? Maybe we all cut out. Anyone hear me? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. So yeah, go ahead and write, tell us stories about your familiars. Like how did they come to be? Like I said, sometimes they choose us, sometimes we choose them. And I know for me, my familiars are very, and there's certain ones that I have a certain connection with. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a cow. I mean, we're talking about animal helpers. This is Cow. She's our corgi. And I mean, look at this face. Look at this face. I was told that you never get the animal you want, you get the animal that you need. And this dog challenges me every day. I have learned patience. I have learned I'm moving a lot because I'm chasing her. Yeah, look at that baby. This is my cow. So yeah, if you guys have stories about your dogs or your animals, go ahead and put them in the chat. For me, my animals are part of the family. I've met people who are like, I don't want my animals on my bed or on my couch. And that's fine. I'm not saying people who don't let their animals sit up with them or whatever. I'm not saying that they're bad animal owners. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, my animals are part of the family. They get reign of the whole house. They get to go wherever. And it drives people crazy because there's fur everywhere. But that's just how we run our household. It's like the animals have their spots. They can sit on the couch. They can sleep on our bed. We don't care. Kayla says, my familiar is Tigger. He's teaching me about unconditional love and patience. Yeah, absolutely. I know that we have Chanel. We call her Nene. She's a wiener dog. And she got me through. This is her. Here, this is Nene. Yeah, this is our little, and she's old lady. She's our old lady. And she got me through the death of Ziggy. She became my emotional support animal. So anyone that knew me after Ziggy died would see me just with Chanel all the time. She got me through a lot. And she's slowing down. She's getting old. She's slowing down. She can't control her bladder anymore. And this is what I'm talking about, you guys. It's sad that we watch these animals bring us such joy, and then we have to watch them go away. But I'm telling you, the love, it's worth it. It's worth the heartache. It's worth all of that. And so, yeah, it's just and it serves as a good reminder of the cycle of life that you get to experience. Yeah, and I was saying that, and they teach. It's really important that children have pets because it teaches them the cycle of life and death. It teaches them that death is a part of life, and death is a part people you love and animals you love are gonna pass away. Hestia says Hestia's Muse says my two cats teach me humor, boundaries, self-love, and perseverance. Oh my God, Liliana, you're hilarious. Kayla says they are just a piece of our lives, and we are all of theirs. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the card, you guys. So if you got this card in a reading, what do you think this would mean for you? For me, if I got the Animal Helpers card, it would just remind me I think it's kind of what we were talking about with the silence card, is about being in the moment. They teach us to be in the moment and be grateful and listen. I think it's very serendipitous that we had the silence card and Animal Helpers, because you learn to listen to your animals. They've got lessons to teach them: unconditional love from the dogs, independence from the cats. I just feel like this card is just reminding me that no matter how hard it is, my animals are going to be part of my life, and they live on and on and on through us. I have a cat named Chaplin that died, 15 years ago. There you go, sweetie. There you go. She's like, I'm done being on camera. And I've got my Chaplin tattoo, my Chaplin cat. And I still think of that cat. It's been a long time, and that cat still comes up in conversation. I see that cat out in a corner of my eye. Like, they're still around. Our cat Bonsai, we see Bonsai running around our fay tree in the backyard, because that's Bonsai. That's Bonsai's favorite thing to do when he was alive, was just run and pounce and just be the most awesome outdoor cat ever. Notice the animals teaching you things, not just your pets, but in nature too. So go out, sit in nature, listen to the birds. Birds tell you a lot. They're our messengers, right? So I hope Bella's okay. I think they lost their power, is what I'm assuming, because it went dark, and then and yes, I'm going to type that. Sorry, I'm talking to our producer in the background. We've got something coming up real cool, Children of the Crossroads. We have a fundraiser online that we'll be doing Saturday, October 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There's a Facebook event. You can find it. If you click on join event the day of, it'll take you right to the Discord channel. And we're going to do what's called Whining and Divining. And basically it's tipsy divination, tipsy tarot card reading. We're going to have our coven do it just for a minimum $5 donation through our PayPal or our Venmo. We'll have our coveners read for you, do whatever, as long as the reading, 15 minutes max, depending on how many people join. But any kind of reading you want. We got very talented coven members. We've got people who do runes. We got one that's going to do mediumship work. We can do scrying. We can do tarot, and we're going to be drinking wine. And if you join us, you get to talk with us and drink wine, and it's going to be really fun. It's just going to be like a party, drinking wine online and getting divination done. So check that out, definitely. Also, make sure you go to springmysteries.com or springmysteriesfestival.com. I'm trying to springmysteries.com. Thank you, Isadora. And do the early bird registration through December. I may say the wrong price right now, but I think it's $170 for the ticket. And also there's always ATC Wicca.org. You can find all of the online rituals there. You can find all the information about the church, all the activities. There's lots and lots of stuff. And wiccanseminary.edu. That's where I learned how to just go by the seat of my pants and go with the flow and take over. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. I believe next week we will be talking about, hold on, we are going to talk about, what are we talking about next week? We're talking about guardians. So here we go. We go from animal helpers to guardians. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. And blessed be everybody. Bye.